Uh, Great. So, hi, welcome to the Mango Publishing Heart Wisdom panel. And today our topic is Hearts and Minds in Community. And we're really fortunate today to have four authors with us. And I'm going to be having each of them introduce themselves and give you a little bit more background. But for now, I'll just have you wave. Jodie is here. Hey, Jodie. Juliana, Rachael, Sue, and of course we have Brenda, our Mango Publishing publisher. So good that you can be here. And I also welcome, I know we've got a lot of wonderful other folks from Mango. I see you and welcome. I'm so glad you're all here. Before we officially start, and I have our authors introduce themselves, Sue, there you are, Sue. Sue has generously offered to start us off with a short meditation. So thank you, Sue.
Okie doke. Okay, just get comfy. We're going to do a little inventory of the four quadrants of our being: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. So just take a minute to settle into your body. Maybe breathe just a little bit deeper. And then with absolute gentleness and acceptance, just take a look at your body, mind, emotions, and spirit. In other words, your body, physical, your heart, your brain, and that elusive but absolutely necessary spirit, soul part of yourself. Just, I'm not going to say anything, just you do that. And when you discover if there's a need from one of those quadrants, just allow warm, beautiful light to enfold it. Gently, 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 gently be aware of where you and all of those parts of yourself are at this moment. And whatever, if love looks like light to you, then continue doing that. If it feels like something else, give those parts of yourself whatever it is that speaks love to you, just for a couple of seconds. And then very, very, very softly and gently allow yourself to return to wherever it is you're sitting, wherever it is. And open your eyes when you're able.
Thank you, Sue.
You Californians might think of love as sun right now.
Actually, hearing the rain pouring down was very soothing because of you, because of your lovely meditation. So thank you. One of the most wonderful things about this gathering that we've now been doing since the pandemic, way back when in 2020, is having the chance to all take a breath and to reflect on things and to get to be together. Brenda chose the name for this one, and I love it, Hearts and Minds in Community. And I wanted to read just a tiny little paragraph that is from Juliana's book, Reasons to Live. I thought it really spoke to at least one of the things that I wanted to bring today, and let me share it with you. Juliana says, life is not about crispy, perfect moments strung together on the handmade solid gold thread, but rather a menagerie of tangles consisting of human hair, blood stains, and love notes thrown in with wads of chewed gum and precious jewels. It is all beautiful because it is the making of us. It is our soul as we know it that is learning how to be human. And Juliana, thank you for those beautiful words. When I was reading your book, that just resonated with me that we're all always learning to be human. And I so appreciate that Mango Publishing has so many authors and books that help us in all different aspects of that. So we never know how these panels are going to unfold. It's part of the beauty of them. But I'd love to begin by having each of our authors who are here introduce yourselves. And when you're doing that, I'd really love you to also speak to what your favorite practice is right now for grounding yourself in uncertain times and taking care of yourself when things are challenging. So, Juliana, I'm going to start with you because we just read that beautiful passage. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you to everyone who's here and who showed up for yourself. It's amazing, and I appreciate you. My name is Juliana J. Bruno. I have a podcast called I Care About You. I have a meetup, Being Worthy, a guide to self-love and compassion. And I have a grassroots organization, Social Refugees, which works with people who are working through suicide, illness, death, mental illness. And I wrote this book, Reasons to Live, an interactive guide to healing and overcoming suicidal thoughts and how to help others survive.
And Juliana, what has been your favorite practice right now?
My favorite practice. I am a really big meditator. I brought that in years ago into my life, and that's a huge part of just grounding, especially when times become so uncertain and you kind of are overcome with worry. It's really nice to just take a moment to seep down into yourself and let it go.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. And Magdalene, I'm wondering if you might be able to post people's books as we're introducing our authors. That would be so awesome if you're able to. And if you're not, that's okay. Speaking of meditation, Sue, thank you. That was so beautiful that you opened with a meditation. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm a longtime author, having worked with Brenda for, oh my God, 30 years, maybe more. Yeah. And I love being here. I love seeing your faces. Hi, Greg. I haven't seen you forever. And so my latest book, well, there's a couple of them that came out pretty early, is the woman's book of strength. And it was originally a book called Strength, and then we changed it to the format like I have sort of a series of on. And it's just exactly what it says. The subtitle is Meditations for Wisdom, Balance, and Power. I'm a big lover of balance, and so it was a lot of fun to write, and I just love writing. Then the one that just came out recently too is How to Stay Upbeat in a Beat Down World, which seemed appropriate. And yeah, my favorite practice for staying grounded, is it you said, and centered, is presence. Really just the simple but kind of profound decision to be right where I am in the moment. And the universe has just given me little treats when I do that. And I find hearts everywhere. The universe, the angels, whatever you want to call them, love to play with my food. And I see food hearts all the time. And also I have a little dog, and she's probably one of the most grounding things for me. And we have a place called a piddle pen that's filled with rocks, and I see hearts there all the time. So yeah, so presence is what helps me stay sane.
Ah, thank you so much, Sue. It's good to see you again and welcome
Good to
back.
see you.
Miss Rachel, also a returning guest and also has hosted too. Where are you, Rachel? There you are. Hi.
Hi, I'm Rachael Wolff. My book out is Letters from a Better Me, How Becoming an Empowered Woman Transforms the World. And I have an upcoming book that will be coming out in spring, which I'm very excited about. It's Tending Your Inner Garden, which deals with a lot of how I ground myself now, because seeing my inner world as a garden and understanding that I can weed out things that aren't working for me. I can plant things that are working for me, and I can I can uproot, even if it's a beautiful flower, if it's not working in my garden, I can uproot it. And so it really goes through all of that, but it really does help me. So all I have to do now is often just look at a picture of a garden, go to a garden, work in my garden, and it actually helps me get really into the soul of me to ground myself and stay calm. And I've had a lot of things throwing me off lately with 2 hurricanes that came through. And so I've had to really work in my yard. And so, but I do have a podcast called From a Loving Place with author Rachael Wolff, along with all of my social media is From a Loving Place on all the different social media outlets. So,
Yeah.
and everything I do is about coming from the heart. It's not necessarily the positive place all the time. It's that grounded place of love and understanding that it's not always going to look the way we want it to.
Oh, Rachel, thank you. That's so beautiful. And that kind of echoes a little bit of that part that I read from Juliana's book, doesn't it? You know, the all of it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Jodie, in your beautiful colors. Hello, welcome back.
Hello, thank you for having me. So I am a author, graphic artist, and I have worked for many years as a nonprofit advisor for teens. And my book that came out in May with my co-author Eric Rosswood is Queer Cheer, which is activities, advice, and affirmations for LGBTQ teens. And I would say, honestly, the way for me that I feel grounded is community. Whenever, I get especially like worked up or just feeling really alone, it's always being with community, especially with fellow writers or my friends or family, that really kind of grounds me and brings me back, especially if I'm in a point of fear or a point of just going off the rails about something. It's a point where we can come together and think, how can we help each other? How can we make things better? And gives us hope, essentially. Yeah.
Oh, Jodie, that's so beautiful. As you were just saying that, I was looking around at the faces that I can see and the names and realizing like, yes, right? Like simply being in this community for me, I feel like there's just like a lightening of things because we're here together. And I loved what you said about community. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah. And thank you all really for being here. I always like to point out that it's no small thing to show up, for other people and we all feel your energy. So thank you. And speaking of showing up, Miss Brenda, you have shown up over and over a million times for all of us, for all of the authors, for all of the readers. I'd love to have you introduce yourself and answer the question too, if you'd like.
Sure. Well, my name is Brenda Knight, and I'm the publisher for Mango, and so happy to be so, and also to work with all of you and help like foment your creativity and make it a better world through your books. But I did want to speak to when Rachel said there are a couple of hurricanes. I thought, yeah, and there was another hurricane that happened this month, and the kind of hurricane that wears a red hat. And so that's why I felt especially called to like have this heart wisdom because I think that we started it in the pandemic when things were so scary and confusing and stressful, and people were just, and so it made sense to like come together in community and like give each other strength and support. And I feel that way very strongly now. And so I think what I do to like ground myself is I think about what can I do? What can I do? What action can I take? And so I did want to go ahead and speak to that. And Jodie and Macklin and actually Juliana are part of that too. Is that we're doing a free ebook called Rainbow Affirmations, and it's for queer and questioning teens and trans kids, and it's just like a love letter in ebook form, and we're going to give it away. And we're putting it together very quickly. Like it'll, like, I can't say a date, but like probably like before the end of the year for sure. And hopefully like, you know, before Christmas too. So you'll hear more about it from me and Macklin and Juliana and Jodie and the other authors that are involved. And please help us give as many copies away to as many vulnerable people that need uplifting and just to know that they're not alone.
Oh, Brenda, that's so beautiful. Yes, we can all help spread that. Oh, Karen, thank you for all that love. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and you know, well, first of all, let me just ask, do any of our authors, is there something that you want to launch us off with? I've got some questions, but maybe you've brought something that you feel like you want to start us off. Sue, was that a hand up or were you just, oh, okay, just checking. Well, let me ask then, because Brenda just pointed to this, and I think, you know, for many people right now, I mean, I'm hearing, at least in the circles that I'm in, that there's a whole spectrum of what people need right now. And so it could be anything from, you know, staying under the covers and just, you know, trying to just stay safe within their own families, to needing to connect with other people who, like Brenda just did with some of the authors, and to create things that speak to our values. But let me just ask you, and whichever of our authors wants to jump in first, what do you think people need right now?
I'll go.
Okay.
I think it's hope.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, you know, the one thing I keep coming up against, and, you know, several of the teens from our books, and, you know, just in my organization, over and over, it's a sense of hopelessness and a sense of, you know, fear. And I think creating a sense of hope is one of the biggest things that is needed.
Wow, thank you, Jodie. And I saw Karen, you raised your hand up there. Did you want to jump in?
Actually, I raised it initially by mistake, but anyway, but I'll say something. I was playing around. I raised my hand by mistake, but well, it's great to be here, and I think just speaking from my own attempt to deal with everything, I think it's really good to remind myself that everything shall pass. But in the interim, nothing is ever static. So things are always constantly changing. And sometimes when we are undone by something negative, I think one of the mistakes is to hang on to it as a form of identifying with it, which I know is very challenging. I do that constantly. But at the same time, I think we have to know that things are constantly changing. And if we set an intention to go down the positive path and build community, I think that's what's sustaining me now. And that's why I'm here.
I love it. And I love that you're so 100% aligned with that by showing up here with us and sharing such a beautiful insight too. Thanks, Karen. Appreciate it. Rachel.
One of the things I've really had really in my face lately because of getting hit with back-to-back hurricanes is the importance of remembering and that even when something looks horrendous, it looks horrible, it looks horrendous, it looks destroyed, it can come back stronger and more beautiful in the end. It may take time, but even with, let's say because my bushes in my front of my house were all completely destroyed by the storm. But what I found underneath is they kind of look like bonsai trees. So I was like, how can I do this? And I cut them all to be like bonsai trees, and now they look gorgeous. But it's just, and I always tend to get my reminders from nature. And it was just that reminder of, just because we got hit hard, it doesn't mean we're knocked down. It doesn't mean we can't come back stronger. It doesn't mean we can't come back more beautiful and more compassionate and more loving and more community oriented, because that's another thing we see a lot of in natural disasters and things like that, is the people who may have been quiet before rise up. Like all these different places and people, they rise up. And so there sometimes comes a lot of beauty in the chaos, but it's just remembering and centering and going, like with what Karen said, this too shall pass. The hurricane that we're in will pass. We will move forward from it, and we can overcome. We will overcome, because that's our human nature and that's our heart.
Oh, Rachel. And I think you're giving us a preview of that beautiful book coming up next spring, right? Like I just wrote down regrowth when you were speaking, right? And also the word roots, that we have very strong roots, you know, as humanity. So thank you. That's so beautiful. And I see Juliana. Hi.
Hi. I love that, Rachel, that beauty in the chaos. So beautiful. I think that another aspect that's really important to remember is that we're not alone. We're not on an island by ourselves trying to deal with all of this and grapple with all of this and try to figure it out. And especially for maybe younger folks who are really struggling and feeling isolated, and really any of us can. COVID's kind of sort of clipped our wings in the community aspect of who we are, and we're all still trying to navigate how to get back to the spaces we were before, and that can be challenging. And I feel that if we just try to remember that we aren't alone, it's not so heavy. We can let it go a little bit. We can let other people hold some of it for us when we need to. And that's really important. And that's why we're all here today, to not be alone. So I think that's just a really important thing to remember, to think about that when you're feeling isolated and alone with the heaviness.
And Juliana, thank you so much, right? And again, I just want to say, and I hope you'll all do this too, like to just look around and to see, like Juliana's saying, you know, we're all here together, and we are such a small percentage of the loving, kind, caring, positive people in the world, right? And it's such a great reminder, because you're right, Juliana, we haven't yet fully come back, or, you know, hardly come back from that isolation. So thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, Sue and then Maureen.
This has been mentioned before, but I think it's so important. I wanted to mention it again, and that is self-compassion. And when we have the compassion for ourselves, that makes it so much easier for us to then, because everybody else is all whopper-jawed too, to be kind externally. So I think the word kindness is used a lot, and I think it's absolutely imperative now that we start with that kindness here, because I don't know about you, but I like today, yesterday was great. I felt so good. Today, not so much. And there have been pockets of, yay, this is cool. But there's also been pockets of, I don't know if I can do this. you know, this is hard, and I'm not enthused about it. And when we can turn that kindness here, then we're going to be able to bring it out there, and we're going to be okay. We're going to right the balance, which is, well, even Mother Nature is out of balance. She's just blowing up a storm. And in Colorado, the 2 days after the election, we had rain and wind. And the way I saw it was really, to me, it was an example of how we all felt, or some of us felt. And so the self-compassion and kindness, I just think we can't talk about and do that enough.
And Sue,
Or too much.
I love you for always, always bringing that to us. It's such a beautiful gift, because it's so true, especially in times of uncertainty and huge challenges and so much fear and negativity, that it's like, I love that you bring it back to that, like that self-compassion and finding that grounding. And you're right, like I think it's, in my experience, it's really hard to be making the change that we want in the world unless we're first doing it within ourselves, and living that alignment. And Maureen, I see you nodding, and I know you had your hand up. Jump on in.
Hi, so I'm a new author with Mango, and so my book is coming out in December, The Enchanted Earth. So as you can imagine, I resonate with all of you, with focus on kindness and love and compassion, and connecting to the natural world. And one of the things, I think is a word that sums up a lot of what many of you shared, was resilience, right? And getting out into nature to help remind us that nature is resilient and nature will always be there in some form, right? Right, Rachel, of course. And I think ever since the pandemic and before, and even now, it's so important to remember that we're all collectively going through transformation. We all have our inner work and our inner journey, but as a collective, the whole planet is going through it, and it's not fun. Think about our own journeys, right? They haven't been fun, but we look back and we have some space to say, wow, that was difficult, but I wouldn't give anything for it. I wouldn't give it up for anything, right? And I think that in years to come, we're going to look back at this time and say, wow, big hug to myself and to everybody that went through that. But oh my gosh, we're in a better place. And I just wanted to end with going out into nature with a childlike curiosity and wonder, because there is so much joy out there. Yeah, I don't need to preach to the choir here, but just be like the lightness of going out and just enjoying the squirrels chasing each other, and just the magic of our everyday world. So that's it. But I'm really grateful to be part of this community now. So thank you.
Oh, Maureen, thank you. And we're excited about your book. And I love when you were just saying that about, watch the squirrels, or, delight in nature. I've heard a lot of people going to nature as one of the ways that they're coping. And I also, Brenda, if everybody looks at Brenda, like we can just sort of like imagine ourselves walking out that little door into that beautiful landscape, and breathing in the fresh air. So
You can walk all the way to Big Sur.
I also just wanted to insert that I have a podcast too called The Enchanted Earth, and if anyone would like to be on it to talk about a moving story of nature, I would love to have you on it. So
Thank you. I want to go back to what Jodie was saying about community, because that was one of the things I was thinking about, of course, before we gathered today. And I'm curious about if anybody wants to speak to how people can strengthen their connection to community, because I agree wholeheartedly with Jodie, and of course that's partly why we're all here. And there's a lot of people who may not have a community or may not feel like they're in a web right now. Does anybody want to launch us off in a conversation about how people can connect? Dr. Julissa, hello. Good to see you.
Hi, can you hear me now? Hi.
It's really great to see you. Welcome.
Oh, yes, hello to all of you beautiful souls. Sherry, Brenda, oh, so happy to be here with all of you again. Before I share my book and being an author and all of that, being in practice since 1995, you see how trends also affect people physically, emotionally, mentally. We know that the newest thing we're hearing a lot about is loneliness. One of my main offices is in New York City, but I have offices that I see patients in 36 different states. But my main office is in New York City, Park Avenue, 3 blocks from the Empire State Building. So it's the concrete jungle. They're not really exposed to nature that way unless they're the ones that really go to Central Park and such. And being enclosed and not going out to meet people is a problem. And I have to tell people, even those that are single, you need to go to the nearest Starbucks, sit there on a Sunday and just people watch. Find an interesting person, get up and talk to them. Let's get off of these devices. I have to literally tell patients that get out of your home to connect with people in your community. How many people do you not know that have a neighbor for 10 years and still don't know their name, for example? So all of that affects them in more ways than you can imagine. So my biggest recommendation is to get out of your home, get off the device while you're walking, while you're sitting there in a cafe, and talk to people. That is the way that you're going to create a community, to get out there and do so. So that's what I have noticed is something that I've had to mention a lot. People are just connecting with the people from work and going home and just enclosing themselves. And that's not the way to connect and grow your own circle of people in your own community. So
that is so beautiful. And you know, I love what you're saying, and it seems like it would be second nature, right? That we would go out into the, but it isn't anymore. And I wanted to add just one thing to that, which I talked to a lot of my friends about, which is how can we be an invitation to people to talk, right? Like, because I think that that's part of it. Like you're saying, when you're on your device, it's not really much of an invitation. So it's like, how do we be available to people? And, you know, of course, there's all sorts of things, you know, we could have a book, like a really interesting book
that is what I recommend. Yes. An actual physical hardcover. And I'll share my book now in a minute, but yes.
Right, exactly. Like while you're putting that, let me just say so we can but yeah, right. Like so that is like to have a book where someone could say, oh, that looks interesting, or I'm reading that book, or you know, and of course we all, I assume, love books here. So and while Dr. Julissa is sharing her book, I just say if you wanted to share some of your own ideas about connection and how people can connect, just go ahead and either raise your hand or raise the virtual hand.
I wanted to share something, Sherry. So I have a best friend, Lillian. Like we moved out here from West Virginia, like to the Lower Haight in San Francisco many years ago. We had no idea that Chris McKinney was our neighbor. So point taken, Dr. Julissa. But like we found each other later. But her other best friend passed away from like a long disease just recently, and she was her caretaker. Like, and so she was explaining to me that like she's experiencing intense loneliness, and so she went back to church. Now, not just any church, because with me and Lillian, it would have to be a weird one. So she found a Swedenborgian church in El Cerrito, like where we're neighbors here. And so and like like she kept like texting me and saying like, Brenda, I think you really want to come to church with me. And I'm like, no, I don't do church. And then she talked me into it. And like, I love it because Swedenborgian, it's all about nature, actually, that like nature is holiness and God is nature. But they also like talk astrology and like tarot and all of the stuff that like I love so much. And so, so she found this wonderful community, like sort of additional community for her and me to be part of. But it came from her loneliness and her searching, what can I do? And then she was like, well, back in West Virginia, like lonely middle-aged women went to church, and that was their community. So she just gave it a try, and then it worked out beautifully. And like so if anyone's ever visiting Northern California and you want to go to like the coolest, weirdest church ever, like let me know and we'll take you there.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for proving that point. I love you. I love you, Brenda. Wonderful. Well, it's just something that I've seen that I have to bring into my practice. It's in, as a board certified naturopathic doctor, I have to look at all of what is happening in the realm of my patients now. Having said that, I'll just go ahead. I'm also an author, and my book is the naturopathic approach to fertility. When I first started chatting with Chris regarding writing a book, I actually wanted to write one regarding the top 10 health challenges I'd been treating in patients since 1995. Next year will be 30 years I'm in practice. Whoa. And when they heard my success rate with patients regarding fertility, that as of today, I still have a, let me say 99.9999999%, because as a Taoist and practicing Taoism, nothing is perfect in life, nothing is 100%, but as of today, every single couple that has come to me with challenges with fertility, we, all three of us working together, they followed every single one of the recommendations and such, has achieved to conceive the baby that they so desire. So when they heard that, that's why Chris said, forget the top 10, we're going to do just one topic, and that's what this is all about.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. And thanks again for bringing up the topic of connection. I want to keep going with that so that we can, yeah, Juliana, jump on in. And then Sue.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing. I write about this in my book because I come across it a lot with folks, in that sometimes creating community for yourself, especially again, as we're kind of coming out of in the post-COVID times, you have to get a little bit out of your comfort zone, because it's hard to say hi to strangers. It's hard to approach people. It's hard to see somebody reading a book and go, oh, what's that? And it's hard to start conversations with people. And we didn't do it for such a long time randomly, that now we're kind of relearning those skills a little bit. But it involves stepping out of your comfort zone just a little bit, or else you imagine, and I do this almost every single day, I think to myself, I should say hi to that person, and the moment passes, and then I don't say anything, and we move on, right? So I'm really trying to be present in that moment and strike up that conversation, even if it's I like your hair, or what have you. And I think that's really an important thing people can do in their lives is, if you see someone and you can give them a compliment, a genuine compliment, start with that. Just do it. It's always appreciated. You feel good, they feel good, and it's a nice icebreaker that doesn't have so much anxiety with it. And so I find that that's a really kind of a simple way to step out of that comfort zone and give some little kindness, as Sue said, and also it makes you feel good too, you know.
Juliana, I love that. It's such a great tip. And there's a second piece that I like to talk about in my community with people, if you feel like it, because you're right, sometimes it's hard, but sometimes like if it's a piece of jewelry for something, or, you know, is there a story? You know, like I find that when I ask people, is there a story? Oftentimes we get it to a really interesting place quickly. So I love that, you know. A compliment is great. And if you feel like a little follow-up. And then I know Sue and then Jodie. Sue, did you have something you wanted to jump in with?
Yeah, you just sort of said it, as did Juliana in a way. What I've noticed since COVID and et cetera has been listening is such a gift. People have wanted to talk, and often because we all want to talk, then we don't get listened to. So I just really started a little practice of I like your, is there a story, Sherry? That's a really good in. But just to ask a question and then just really listen. I happen to go to church. It's a weird one too, but not that weird. And I probably would like yours, Brenda, by the way. And I find that I can come home from church sometime and maybe I haven't said anything, but I feel really good, except maybe to ask a question, because I've actually listened to people. So that was a part I wanted to say. I think that's something we can do.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, 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 yes. So Jodie and then Lisa.
Yeah, I was gonna say a couple things. Gosh, everything I love hearing everything everyone's saying, and it just brings up all these wonderful ideas. And just remembering like times when I've been in the forest and how that brought me peace. And but I was thinking of two things specifically. One, you know, when you go out into the world, and perhaps if you're more introverted and shy, or you know, not quite sure how to meet someone, aside from nice compliments, one of the great things that is cool to do is perhaps wear things that you like, or find things that someone else is liking. So I happen to be a huge nerd, like, you know, big geek. So like if I see someone else who's wearing, you know, like something Doctor Who, for example, like that's a really cool way to find like-minded people in your community and build that connection. And kind of an easy, safe way to like maybe find someone that might align with you. Um, and the other thing that I was going to say is when it comes to kind of going out, one of the things that is hard for the queer community is your safety, you know, being sure, is there any red flags or any problems that may arise. So there is something to be said for online community leading to an outward community. You know, I love being able to look for you know, cool, you know, queer writing groups, or if you happen to be like maybe a gamer, or you know, maybe finding nature enthusiasts online or something that aligns with you, that can maybe lead to you having that safe experience outside your home, basically. And I just wanted to kind of speak to that, because I do know, especially with queer youth, queer, you know, community, that there is some fear, you know, are you safe kind of engaging, and just finding that even if you find an online gaming group that you can talk to online and having that community, that can be very helpful.
Oh, Jodie, excellent. Such an excellent point. I'm so grateful you brought that up. And I've been noticing online a beautiful thing happening where people are doing just that. I've been seeing people gathering around different, you know, interests or ways of living, and taking it to the real world, which has been for me very uplifting to see communities meeting up again like that. So yeah, I love that. Lisa and then Rachel. Hey, Lisa, good to see you.
Hi, I wasn't sure at first whether it was just the few people talking, or we were listening, but I'm Lisa. This is my first time here, obviously. Um, I loved all the suggestions that people gave. I'm a like new author at Mango. My book is out next Tuesday, but not even out yet. So a really new author. Um, what I was thinking, well, one is just I loved all the suggestions that people had about talking to people and just like showing up. I have a profound capacity to like think that other people don't want to be my friend for absolutely no reason. And so to just like I've been doing I feel like better job recently of just like showing up and like assuming that people do want to be my friend. And the amount of difference that that makes is hilarious. Just like grabbing coffees with people or being the person to suggest it, and not waiting to like see if that person suggests it to me. That's been huge. And then another thing, um, probably obviously because I love writing, but a lot of other people do, is sometimes I feel weird like calling people. I'm like, are they going to be in the middle of something or whatever? But I've been writing people letters. And then the funny thing is they call you. Like no one wants to write you a letter back unless, I mean, I don't really have that many writer friends, so no one wants to write back to me. But a lot of times when they get it, then they call you. And I feel like that's a good way, especially with like friends that I only get in touch with once in a while. It's been fun and not like super long letters, so that I don't overwhelm the person on the other end receiving it. But yeah, letters have been like a fun way of connecting with people recently, or be with the book coming out, like even like writing a little inscription to like friends and family and sending it to them, and then call me and they're like, that was so great. It's so good to catch up with you. I'm like, oh, I'm glad you said that. So yeah.
Lisa, I'm glad you joined us. I'm glad you decided to jump in and share. And I love the things that you've suggested. I am a huge letter writing fan. So write to me and I'll write you back, I promise. Like Rachel, hello again.
Hi. So I have to say, with when the pandemic came and the Heart Wisdom panel began, this was my saving grace. It was everything to me to have this community online. It actually helped me make the world a lot smaller, because all of a sudden, two of my best friends now live nowhere near me. And we met and started talking during that panel. And I still have regular contact with them, once every other week, once every week, and then I've connected with so many people from this panel where they've come on my podcast and I've got to talk to them, and it has been truly amazing to connect and to know that the world is not just where you live. Now, I'm blessed with, I know all my neighbors. I know every single one of my neighbors and have relationships with them. But I know that's not true for everybody. But one of the things I do is I always talk to people in lines. I will always find a reason to say something to the person in front of me or this person behind me, and just say something. And it doesn't matter what it is. And a lot of times it turns into a conversation. And then the other thing I do is I connect with the people that serve me every time. I never treat a person like they are not a human in front of me. It doesn't matter what they're doing. I'm never on the phone in front of them, because I want to show up and be present to whoever I'm in front of. And I know it shocks people sometimes when I'm giving them attention and they don't even know what to do with it because they're so used to being passed by. And so I love that I can be a part of lifting their energy up, because on their next person, they might say hello to them. They may engage more because they feel like they've been seen. And I feel like even if sometimes we feel unseen, if we can help someone else feel seen, it helps the energy of everything rise up. It just, we're moving out of that fear, lack, and separation and into that love, abundance, and peace by showing up.
Hallelujah, Rachel. That was beautiful and beautifully said. And
I love everything everybody's been saying. I have had chills which I love throughout this whole conversation. There is so much love in this space, and that's why it is always been a safe place for me to go. And it's just beautiful. And I agree with everything everybody says. I'm just like the whole time. That's my nerd.
Oh, me too. And two things. One is I was just going to thank you because I know that you have been with us since the very, very beginnings of the Heart Wisdom panel. And secondly, I just want to underscore what you said, because to me, this is one of my life philosophies that I live by, right? We cannot possibly give kindness or love away without feeling it, I think, right? And so it's like we're always the first recipients of that. And I think that's what you're pointing to. You know, when we feel lonely, when we feel scared, when we feel sad, you know, reaching out in some way. And people have had so many wonderful ideas. And Krishna added what I wanted to say. Krishna, I love that, you know, sending postcards randomly. That was so beautiful. Like whatever way we're doing that, it feeds us. And I'm well aware, I just wanted to say that these panels fly by sometimes. We've only got about 8 minutes left. And I wanted to make sure before we closed out that we had, where'd you go, Juliana? I know you're here. There you are. I had asked Juliana to bring a tool for us. And I know we've gotten many practices and tools. This happens to be one of my favorites that is in her book. And I think it's one that is one of those things that serves us as we're doing it. And I happen to believe it also really can bring a lot of peace to the world. So Juliana, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to lead you through a simple metaverse. And so I would like to ask you to just kind of take a moment to settle in, take a deep breath in and out. And I will say a verse, and I'll leave a little bit of a space for you to either say it to yourself or say it out loud, whatever works for you. And we'll just go from there. So take a moment to just settle into your space. Take a deep breath in, let it out. And here we go. May I be loved. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May you be loved. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May we be loved. May we be safe. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May they be loved. May they be safe. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May all beings be loved. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. And I wish for all of you to be safe, happy, healthy, and loved. Thank you.
Juliana, that was so beautiful. And I think the reason I so much wanted you to share that is I love the inclusivity of it, right? For everyone, you know? Yeah.
And just the moment to, in these particular times, we tend to adopt this us and them kind of thoughts. And it's just important to remember that we're all just human beings trying to make it through life, doing the best we can with what we know and what we have and who we are. And it's really a nice reminder sometimes to say this verse first for yourself so that you remember you're loved, but also that they or the others are also loved, and you wish the best for them, even when they might be really infuriating.
Well, and it brings me back to what I started with from your book also, which is that we're all learning to be human. You know, no matter how long we've been on this planet, how wise we are, there's still so much to learn. And I feel so grateful again, and Brenda, a huge applause to you and to, I'm looking at everyone here who's works for Mango and works so hard to help us all learn so much. Brenda, did you want to bring anything else into the conversation in our last couple minutes?
Well, to be honest, I've been planning future Heart Wisdom panels in my mind with some of the people here, all of the other authors. So I've got like a whole little program going in my mind for January, February. But I also wanted to give a special shout out to Edward, because like there's more free books we should be doing, like probably free books for like immigrants, or so like let's talk. And well, any ideas you have, like, let me know, because like I feel very fired up to like give and be creative in that giving and what we're offering to the world. And I feel super blessed to work with all of you, past, present, future. And I'm very grateful to you, Sherry, because like you're the heart of Heart Wisdom.
Thank you.
are.
Oh,
Mm.
thank you, Brenda.
Yes.
Thank
Sorry
you.
to come at you like unexpectedly with like all the feels, but like that's also like this is a venue for people to express their hopes, wishes, feelings. And so I just wanted to acknowledge you and all that you do for people as well. So
Thank you so much. And as we're closing out, I saw that Linda, who has also been with us, I think, since the absolute very beginning. Hello, Linda. I just wanted to read what Linda posted to close out our circle here. Linda said, I have a daily alarm set on my phone to remind me to envision a world in which everyone knows they are loved and held beloved. It's been a wonderful practice, though sometimes more challenging than others. But really considering what the world would be like when everyone knows they are loved has been powerful. Thank you for that, Linda. You've always shown up and brought us the love. Yes. In our last moment, did any of our authors want to share anything? Jodie, you can close us out. Hi.
I just want to say I absolutely love that Mango and all the authors that seem to be involved with Mango have this community forward attitude, just thinking through how can we help each other? How can we put things out into the world that help each other? And I just think that's really, really beautiful. And Brenda and just everyone at Mango, I really thank you for that and appreciate that, because I think that is what helps heal the world.
thank you.
Thank you.
Beautifully said, Jodie. And let me just say to everyone here, I'm looking at each of you. It really matters that you've shown up for us today. Really matters that you're here and that you've joined this circle. And I hope you'll come back. It sounds like Brenda's got a great lineup coming up for all of us. So stay tuned and stay close. And thank you all for the love you bring and for going out into the world and really helping to create more community and to bring more love. Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Stay tuned. We'll see you for the next one.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I love all the hearts, Karen.
I can do it.
Great to see you all.